The queen asked, "Who's that?" The princess replied, "The man I married." Towers of shining metal and crystal shimmered under the twin suns, reflecting light in patterns that made the city look alive. Hovering vehicles moved gracefully along invisible paths, weaving between the spires like schools of metallic fish. From above, the city seemed perfect, a blend of technology, art, and culture that had taken centuries to create. Princess Kayla stood on the observation deck of the royal palace, her long hair catching the artificial breeze from the climate regulators. She leaned on the rail, her amber eyes fixed on the glowing speck in the distance, a human starship approaching from the outer sectors. It was unusual for humans to be this close. Most species considered them primitive, unpredictable, and dangerous. And yet Kayla's heart raced with excitement, an unfamiliar mix of fear and anticipation stirring inside her. "Who's that?" The voice came soft but firm behind her. It was the queen, her mother, wearing a gown that shimmered like starlight. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, studied the distant ship. Unlike Kayla, the queen's mind measured every risk. Every human was a question mark, and no question mark was ever allowed inside the walls of Elysium Prime, especially not one this close to the royal family. Kayla turned toward her mother and smiled, a quiet confidence in her voice. "The man I married," she said. The queen's eyebrows lifted and her lips pressed into a thin line. "Married?" Her voice carried a mixture of disbelief and disapproval. "A human." "You have not even met him, princess. How can you speak of marriage with certainty?" Kayla's gaze returned to the approaching ship. "I have met him. More than that, mother, I trust him. You will see." The queen shook her head slowly. "Trust is a fragile thing. Humans are unpredictable. Their history is filled with conflicts, and their biology, well, it is not suited for our world. Are you certain of this decision?" Kayla's fingers tightened around the railing. "Yes, I am certain." Her words were calm, yet there was a fire behind them. She had spent months communicating with Elias, the human pilot, through holographic transmissions and coded messages. Even though they had never met in person, she had come to know his mind, his heart, and his courage. She had seen how he treated problems, how he treated others, and how he faced danger without hesitation. The starship drew closer, its engines leaving a faint blue trail in the void. Unlike the massive and elegant alien vessels of Elysium Prime, the human ship was compact, almost crude in appearance. It lacked the flowing lines and polished surfaces of alien engineering. But there was something about it, something raw and unrefined yet strong, that made Kayla's pulse quicken. Inside the command room of the human ship, Commander Elias stood tall, his hands resting on the controls. His dark hair was tied back, and his brown eyes scanned the instruments with focus. Unlike the polished officers of alien fleets, Elias carried himself with a natural ease, a quiet confidence that came from years of relying on his own skills rather than sophisticated systems. "This is it," he muttered to himself. "Elysium Prime." He took a deep breath and straightened his shoulders. "Let's see what they think of a human." The docking procedure began, and the ship descended slowly toward the city. The docking bay of the royal palace opened automatically, its massive doors sliding aside with a smooth hiss. Aliens of various shapes and colors observed from above, curious and skeptical. Whispers passed through the crowd. Humans rarely came this close. Many doubted that a human could survive in this environment, let alone enter the palace. Kayla's heart thumped as she watched the ship touch down. The landing was perfect, executed with precision that rivaled the city's own automated systems. As the hatch opened, a ramp extended and Elias stepped out. His uniform was simple, functional, and slightly worn, yet he carried himself with an air of authority that demanded attention. The queen's eyes narrowed. She studied Elias from head to toe. "He looks ordinary," she said almost to herself. Ordinary, that was the danger. Humans could appear unremarkable, yet their minds and instincts were extraordinary. Kayla stepped forward before her mother could voice any further objections. "Mother, he is not ordinary," Kayla said softly but firmly. She descended the stairs to meet him halfway, her gown flowing behind her. "Elias, welcome to Elysium Prime." Elias inclined his head politely. "Thank you, Princess Kayla." "It is an honor to be here." His voice was calm, steady, with a hint of warmth. There was no fear, only respect. He extended his hand, and Kayla took it without hesitation. There was a spark of understanding in that simple gesture, a connection that transcended species, technology, and centuries of history. The queen observed silently, her thoughts guarded. "You may enter," she said at last, her tone measured. "But know this, human, trust is earned here. The safety of Elysium Prime depends on it." Elias nodded. "I understand, your majesty, I will prove my worth." As they walked into the palace, Kayla guided him through the vast halls filled with alien art, floating displays of knowledge, and gardens that defied gravity. Every step drew Elias deeper into a world foreign to him, yet he moved with curiosity rather than fear. He observed, asked questions, and adapted qualities that Kayla admired. "Do you ever tire of being surrounded by so much perfection?" Elias asked quietly, gazing at the crystalline walls. Kayla chuckled. "It is not perfection, only what we have built over centuries. But sometimes, yes, I wonder what it would be like to see the universe through simpler eyes. Perhaps that is why I wanted to meet you." Elias smiled. "Then perhaps we can learn from each other." Meanwhile, the palace staff, composed of alien attendants, watched closely. Whispers spread like wildfire. A human married to the princess. Could such a thing even work? Could a human survive here in a place where technology, intellect, and diplomacy were measured against centuries of experience? In the observation garden, Kayla led Elias to a balcony overlooking the city. The twin suns were setting, casting golden reflections on the towers. Hovering vehicles glided through the air, leaving streams of light behind them. It was a scene of beauty, calmness, and grandeur, yet there was tension underneath. Every eye in the city now wondered, how would a human fit into this world? Kayla turned to Elias, her eyes shining. "This city, this world, it can be intimidating. But you see beyond what is expected. That is why I chose you." Elias looked out at the horizon. "I am not here to impress anyone. I am here because you asked me to be, and if you trust me, I will do whatever it takes to protect you and your people." Kayla smiled, feeling a warmth she had never known. In a place filled with rules, traditions, and centuries of cautious diplomacy, Elias brought something new: honesty, courage, and humanity. Suddenly, alarms echoed through the palace. A fleet of alien scouts was approaching, unknown and unauthorized. The council would panic if they saw this, but Kayla knew that Elias would handle it with calm and intelligence. She turned to him, determination in her voice. "Are you ready?" she asked. Elias nodded. "Always." The human stepped forward, his figure confident, unyielding, and strange to the eyes of the gathered aliens. Kayla realized then that it was not strength, size, or technology that made someone powerful. It was ingenuity, courage, and the willingness to act when others hesitated. Humans had that in abundance. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over Elysium Prime, Kayla thought of the words she would speak to her mother. They were simple, yet filled with truth. "The man I married is not just a human. He is the man I trust with my life and the future of our world." For the first time, the queen's expression softened, though her mind remained guarded. Change was coming to Elysium Prime, and it would come in the form of a human whose courage, intelligence, and heart might just change the galaxy forever. The city below sparkled, oblivious to the momentous events unfolding in the palace. But above it all, in the quiet of the observation deck, a human and a princess stood together, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them, together. And thus, the story of Kayla and Elias began, not with war, nor with politics, but with trust, courage, and the quiet promise of something extraordinary. The morning sun rose over Elysium Prime, bathing the city in golden light. The twin suns cast long reflections over the crystal towers, making the palace look like it had been carved from pure sunlight. Princess Kayla and Commander Elias stood in the grand hall, a room so vast that the echoes of their steps sounded like distant thunder. The council had gathered, an assembly of elders, scientists, and military leaders, all alien, all deeply suspicious of humans. Kayla felt a flutter of anxiety in her chest. She knew the council would not accept Elias easily. They had centuries of knowledge, of tradition, of rigid hierarchy. A human in their eyes was an unproven variable, a creature of instinct rather than calculation. And yet, Kayla believed in him. The council's leader, High Chancellor Veyron, rose from his seat. His 6 eyes, 2 on each side of his elongated face, blinked in unison. "Princess Kayla," he began, his voice echoing across the hall, "we must ask, why is a human allowed within these walls? Why is he allowed to enter our city and, more importantly, our family?" Kayla stepped forward, her chin lifted. "Because he is capable," she said firmly. "Because he has shown courage, intelligence, and respect. Because I trust him." A murmur passed through the council. Veyron's mandibles clicked as he considered her words. "Trust is not a measure of capability," he said coldly. "We require proof. Show us why a human should be valued among us." Elias, standing tall beside Kayla, inclined his head. "I understand your doubts," he said. His voice carried a calm authority. "I do not expect you to trust me immediately, but I ask for a chance to prove that humans are not just capable, they can contribute in ways no other species can." Veyron narrowed his gaze. "And how do you propose to do this?" Kayla's hand brushed Elias' arm, a silent reassurance. "There is a matter that requires immediate attention," she said. "The city's orbital defense grid has been experiencing irregularities. The engineers cannot pinpoint the cause. If you can resolve this, it may demonstrate your value." The council's elders exchanged skeptical glances. The orbital defense grid was a network of satellites and weapon systems designed to protect Elysium Prime from any attack. It was intricate, advanced, and delicate. No human had ever operated such systems before. The challenge was enormous. Elias' eyes brightened not with fear but with excitement. "Show me the problem," he said. The council led them to the command center, a vast chamber filled with holographic displays, floating control panels, and endless streams of data. Alien technicians moved like dancers, their limbs stretching in unusual ways as they interacted with the systems. Lines of code and visual schematics floated in the air, forming a complex puzzle that had defeated even the most skilled minds in the city. "Here," said Veyron, gesturing at the main console, "we cannot identify the source of the malfunction. We have tried every solution known to us." Elias studied the screens, his brow furrowing. The systems were far more advanced than anything he had ever encountered on Earth, yet he did not panic. Instead, he observed, he asked questions, and he began testing small adjustments. Where the aliens relied on complex protocols and rigid procedures, Elias relied on logic, intuition, and adaptability. Hours passed. The council watched, some with skepticism, some with reluctant curiosity. Kayla remained by his side, offering quiet support. "Trust your instincts," she whispered once. "They are what make you human." Elias nodded, focusing on the streams of information. Slowly, patterns began to emerge. A small, overlooked sequence of power fluctuations had been causing a cascade of errors. Elias formulated a solution, simple in principle but ingenious in execution. He adjusted the configuration, rerouted energy flows, and recalibrated the control nodes. Then, with a final command, the entire system stabilized. Lights blinked in perfect sequence, the displays cleared, and the satellites aligned. The city's orbital defense grid, once unstable, now hummed with precision. A stunned silence filled the chamber. The council's elders could not believe their eyes. Veyron's mandibles clicked in surprise, his multiple eyes narrowing as he examined the data. This is unprecedented," he admitted. No alien technician has been able to resolve this issue." Kayla beamed at Elias. "I told you," she said softly. "You can do it." Elias shrugged modestly. "I only did what I thought made sense. Sometimes it's not about knowing everything, it's about seeing what everyone else misses." The council murmured among themselves. Some were still hesitant, but others began to see the truth. Humans might not have the advanced knowledge of Elysium Prime, but they had something equally powerful: adaptability, ingenuity, and courage. Veyron finally spoke. "You have proven your capability in this matter, human, but the Council will continue to observe you. Do not think that one success will secure your place here." Elias nodded. "I would expect nothing less." The day continued with demonstrations, briefings, and examinations. Elias asked questions, learned new systems, and suggested improvements. Each time his insights, sometimes obvious, sometimes subtle, solved problems that had long puzzled the council. Kayla watched in awe. This was the human spirit in action, fearless, curious, and unyielding. As evening fell, the palace gardens glowed under soft bioluminescent lights. Kayla led Elias along floating pathways, over fountains of sparkling liquid that defied gravity. "They are starting to accept you," she said, a smile tugging at her lips. "Some more slowly than others, but they are seeing what I see." Elias looked out at the city. "It is impressive, but I can feel the tension. There are still those who do not trust me. I must earn their respect, not just yours." Kayla nodded. "And you will. But remember, sometimes, it is not just skill they watch. It is how you carry yourself under pressure." The next morning brought another challenge. A diplomatic convoy from a neighboring system had arrived unexpectedly. The convoy's automated escorts misinterpreted a minor navigation error, and a collision with Elysium Prime's outer defense satellites was imminent. Panic spread among the alien operators. Elias remained calm. "Move aside," he said gently, as if guiding a child. He interfaced with the control system, bypassing layers of complex protocols. Using human intuition and rapid calculations, he corrected the trajectories, saving the convoy and preventing potential disaster. The Council's astonishment grew. Again, a human had solved a problem that no alien had anticipated. Murmurs of approval began to circulate among the more progressive members of the Council. Kayla's heart swelled with pride. Elias was proving that humans were not inferior. They were extraordinary in ways the galaxy had yet to understand. Veyron finally approached them in the observation deck. "I admit your approach is unconventional, but effective. Perhaps we have underestimated your species." Elias smiled politely. "Perhaps, High Chancellor, humans may not have centuries of advanced technology, but we have something equally valuable: adaptability, creativity, and the courage to act when others hesitate." Kayla placed her hand gently on Elias' arm. "See, I told you." As the twin suns set once more, casting orange and pink reflections across the palace, Kayla realized that this was only the beginning. The challenges would grow, the skeptics would persist, and the dangers lurking in the galaxy would demand even more. But with Elias by her side, she knew that together they could face anything. In that moment, the palace was not just a home. It was a proving ground, a place where humans could show the galaxy that they were more than what others believed. And Elias, with his calm confidence and unyielding determination, was leading the way. The council members would continue to question him, doubt him, and observe him. But Kayla knew the truth. Humans were extraordinary, and Elias was living proof. And as she looked into his eyes, she understood something deeper. Trust, courage, and determination were not limited by species. They were universal. And so the challenge continued. Not a battle of weapons or armies, but a battle of respect, understanding, and the quiet demonstration of human potential. Elysium Prime would never be the same, for the presence of one human had already begun to change the hearts and minds of those who had long believed they were the pinnacle of the galaxy. And Kayla, standing beside Elias, could not be prouder. The calm of Elysium Prime was broken one morning by a distant tremor through space, a disturbance too precise to be natural. Sensors in the orbital towers detected unusual energy signatures approaching from the outer sectors, far beyond the patrol zones. Alarms blared in the control rooms, and the city stirred with urgency. Princess Kayla stood beside Commander Elias in the observation tower, her heart beating fast. "What is it?" she asked, her voice tight with concern. Elias studied the readings on the holographic display, his brow furrowed. "It's a fleet," he said quietly. "Not a normal fleet. These ships, they're rogue vessels, highly advanced but older than anything in active service. They've been hidden in deep space for centuries." The Queen appeared behind them, her expression sharp. "Centuries? How did they escape detection all this time?" Elias shook his head. "We don't know, but they are here now, and they are coming straight for us." Panic rippled through the council chambers when the threat was confirmed. High Chancellor Veyron demanded immediate action. All defenses must be activated. "Firepower, shields, interceptors, prepare for full engagement." Kayla turned to Elias, her eyes serious. "This is our first real test. Can we hold them?" Elias took a deep breath, his fingers moving over the control panels. "We can. But we need strategy, speed, and something they won't expect." The alien fleets had long relied on rigid protocols, calculating every move with centuries of experience. Elias, a human, had something they could not predict: intuition and unconventional thinking. He began coordinating with the palace's defense systems, integrating human tactics with alien technology. The first wave of rogue ships entered Elysium Prime's outer orbit. They were dark, jagged, and fast, designed to evade traditional defense grids. The alien technicians panicked as automated turrets failed to track their unpredictable maneuvers. But Elias stayed calm. "Focus on the patterns, not the ships," he instructed. "Predict their movement based on behavior, not appearance. Trust your instincts." The alien operators hesitated at first, unsure how to combine instinct with precise calculations. But Elias guided them, explaining each adjustment in clear, simple terms. Slowly, the orbital defenses began to respond. Beams of energy from the turrets hit the rogue ships, forcing them to scatter. Kayla watched in awe as Elias moved among the control stations, calm and deliberate. "Humans are different," she whispered. "They think like nothing else in the galaxy." The rogue fleet regrouped and launched a coordinated attack on the city's outer shields. The walls of energy shimmered and flickered, struggling to contain the force. Kayla's heart leapt into her throat as alarms screamed, yet Elias remained composed. "Diversion!" he shouted. "Split the attacks, make them believe we have multiple targets. Use the smaller satellites to redirect their fire." It was a risky move, but the Council had no alternative. The alien operators executed the plan, and for a moment the city's shields faltered. Then with a brilliant flash, the energy barriers stabilized. The rogue fleet had miscalculated the human tactics, underestimating ingenuity and rapid adaptation. The Queen's eyes widened. "This human, he thinks in ways we cannot anticipate." Elias turned to Kayla, pointing toward the rogue vessels. "Their formation is rigid. If we can predict their next 3 moves, we can force them into a trap, but we must act quickly." Kayla nodded, feeling a surge of determination. "I'm with you." Together, they coordinated a series of defensive maneuvers, combining human improvisation with alien technology. Satellites shifted positions in patterns designed to confuse the attackers, while energy beams redirected in unpredictable sequences. The rogue fleet began to falter, their attacks misaligned and ineffective. Yet the battle was not over. A massive flagship emerged from the shadows of the fleet, a colossal vessel with armor designed to withstand almost any assault. Its weapons glowed with deadly energy, aimed directly at the heart of Elysium Prime. Veyron's eyes narrowed. "Even our strongest defenses cannot hold against that ship." Elias studied the flagship carefully. "It's fast, heavily shielded, but it moves in predictable bursts. There's a weak point at the energy junction near its engine. If we can hit it there, we can disable it without destroying the ship entirely." The Council gasped. Disabling the flagship without destroying it required incredible precision, something no alien fleet had attempted before. The risks were enormous. Kayla's gaze met Elias's. "Do it," she said firmly. He nodded and began issuing commands. Using a combination of manual targeting, satellite diversion, and calculated energy bursts, Elias orchestrated a daring strike. The flagship shuddered as its engines were hit at the junction point, forcing it to drift helplessly. The remaining rogue ships, seeing their leader falter, began to retreat. Cheers erupted in the control room. The city had survived, and the alien council could not hide their astonishment. Humans, so often underestimated, had saved Elysium Prime through ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. Kayla ran to Elias, her eyes shining with pride. "You did it!" she exclaimed. Elias smiled, though he remained focused. "It's not over yet. They may return, but for now the city is safe." The Queen approached slowly, her expression unreadable. "You have proven yourself human," she said finally. "But remember, this is only the beginning. The galaxy is vast and threats will always emerge. Trust must be earned and vigilance must never waver." Elias bowed respectfully. "I understand, Your Majesty, and I will do everything in my power to protect this city and its people." Kayla took his hand, feeling the strength and steadiness of his resolve. "Together we can face anything," she said softly. As night fell over Elysium Prime, the city lights shimmered like stars brought to life. The rogue fleet had retreated into the depths of space, but the memory of their threat lingered. Citizens and aliens alike spoke in hushed tones about the human who had saved the city, a being unlike any other they had ever known. In the palace, Kayla and Elias walked through the gardens, their steps light despite the weight of the day's events. Bioluminescent flowers glowed softly, and gentle streams of water floated in midair, defying gravity. The palace was serene, but outside, the galaxy remained unpredictable and dangerous. "You were amazing today," Kayla said, her voice filled with admiration. Elias shook his head. "It was teamwork. I could not have done it alone. Your people, your technology, it's remarkable. Humans bring something new, but we cannot replace centuries of experience." Kayla smiled. "You brought something no one else could: courage, creativity, and quick thinking. That is worth more than centuries of experience." Elias looked at the city below, his mind racing with possibilities. If humans can survive here in this world of advanced species, then there is hope for the galaxy. We can face threats, explore new worlds, and overcome what seems impossible. Kayla nodded. And we will do it together. The night passed with quiet reflection. The palace, though luxurious and advanced, now felt like a place where the extraordinary was possible, a place where humans could not only survive but thrive. Elias had proven himself, not through brute force or technology, but through the qualities that defined humanity: intelligence, courage, and the will to act when others hesitated. In the early hours, Kayla found herself standing on the observation deck once more, gazing at the stars. "Mother was right," she whispered softly. "The galaxy is dangerous and we are small, but with Elias, perhaps we are not as small as we seem." Elias appeared beside her, his expression calm but thoughtful. "Size and power are not everything," he said. "What matters is what you do with what you have, and humans, we make the most of what we have." Kayla smiled, feeling the truth of his words. She knew the council and the citizens would continue to test him, to doubt him, and to challenge his place in their world. But she also knew something deeper. Elias represented a future in which humans could rise, not just survive. A future in which courage, intelligence, and determination could overcome even the greatest obstacles. As dawn approached, the twin suns of Novara peeked over the horizon, casting long, golden reflections across Elysium Prime. The city was safe, for now. The rogue fleet had retreated, but the galaxy remained vast and uncertain. And in that uncertainty, humans had already begun to leave their mark. Kayla and Elias stood together, facing the stars, ready for the next challenge. They knew that threats would come, that skeptics would question, and that dangers lurked in the dark reaches of space. But they also knew something stronger. Together, they were unstoppable. The first battle had been won, but the war for respect, trust, and the survival of Elysium Prime had only begun. And in that moment, the princess understood a simple, profound truth: humans were extraordinary. And with Elias, she had found a partner capable of changing the fate of worlds. The calm after the first attack on Elysium Prime was deceptive. Though the rogue fleet had retreated, sensors indicated movement in distant sectors: scouts, probes, and smaller warships, all quietly regrouping. The city had survived, but the threat lingered, growing stronger with each passing hour. Princess Kayla stood on the observation deck once again, watching the vast expanse of stars. Beside her, Commander Elias studied the data with intense focus. "They're regrouping," he said, his voice calm but serious. "The fleet is not gone. They're planning something bigger." Kayla's eyes narrowed. "Then we must be ready." Inside the command chamber, the alien council convened in urgent session. High Chancellor Veyron spoke with his usual authority. "We cannot underestimate them again. The last attack revealed our vulnerabilities. We must prepare all defenses, mobilize fleets, and coordinate every system." Elias leaned forward. "Chancellor, traditional methods will not be enough. Their tactics are advanced but predictable in some ways. We need a plan that combines speed, precision, and the element of surprise." Veyron's mandibles clicked in consideration. "And you propose what?" Elias outlined his strategy, combining human intuition with alien technology. "We'll use decoy satellites and drones to lure the fleet into a controlled corridor," he explained. "Our defenses will appear weak, but it's a trap. When they commit, we strike at the weak points in their formation. It requires precise timing, coordination, and trust in every operator." The council exchanged skeptical glances. "This is risky," one elder murmured. "If we fail, the city could be destroyed." Elias looked each of them in the eye. "The greater risk is in inaction. We cannot survive by relying only on old protocols. Adaptation is the key, and humans are experts at it." Kayla watched him, a surge of pride in her chest. "They will follow you," she said softly. "They may doubt, but they will follow." Preparation began immediately. Defense systems were recalibrated, drones positioned in precise patterns, and satellites adjusted to create the illusion of weak points. Elias moved among the operators, guiding them with patience, explaining each move and predicting the fleet's likely response. The rogue fleet returned at dusk, their ships glowing with menace against the backdrop of Novara's twin suns. They moved with speed and coordination, confident that Elysium Prime would be vulnerable. The city braced itself. Elias monitored the fleet, his hands flying across the controls. "Hold positions, let them advance." The first wave of ships entered the corridor. Energy weapons fired at the decoys, which split apart, drawing the enemy deeper. The fleet's formation tightened, following the bait, unaware that every step was part of a calculated trap. Kayla watched, heart pounding. "It's working," she whispered. Elias nodded, but his focus remained unbroken. "Patience, wait for the right moment." Suddenly, a massive ship surged ahead, attempting to break the pattern. Elias' eyes widened slightly, but he acted quickly. "Redirect drones to flank it. Focus fire on the engines. Take it down without destroying the hull. We need it intact for analysis." The operators obeyed, and the ship's engines faltered under precise attacks. It drifted helplessly, trapped. The remaining fleet hesitated, unsure how to respond. The human mind had predicted the chaos that their rigid tactics could not account for. "Now!" Elias shouted. Energy beams struck the weak points of the remaining ships with perfect timing. Shields faltered, engines failed, and one by one, rogue vessels were disabled. The corridor became a prison of controlled destruction. By midnight, the fleet was neutralized, trapped, and forced to retreat under the watchful eyes of Elysium Prime. Cheers erupted in the command chamber. The council, once skeptical, now stared in disbelief and admiration. A human, commanding alien technology, predicting enemy maneuvers and saving the city, had done what centuries of alien expertise could not. Veron approached Elias, his expression a mix of surprise and respect. "You have done the impossible," he said, mandibles clicking in approval. "Your tactics are extraordinary. You have earned your place here, human." Elias shook his head humbly. "I only did what was necessary. I could not have done it alone." "Your people, your technology, they made this possible." Kayla ran to him, her eyes shining. "You were incredible," she exclaimed. "I knew you could do it." Elias smiled, taking her hand. "We did it together." The queen, who had observed silently from the balcony, finally spoke. "I underestimated you," she admitted, her voice measured. "Not because of your species, but because humans are unpredictable. That unpredictability is their strength. You have proven not only your courage, but your value to this world." Kayla felt a surge of pride for both Elias and the human species. "I hope you see now," she said, turning to her mother, "that humans are more than what we thought. They are extraordinary." The city erupted in celebration. Citizens filled the streets, cheering, waving flags, and honoring those who had defended their home. News spread that a human had led the defense, and stories of courage and ingenuity inspired others. Humans, once considered primitive, were now seen as capable, clever, and vital allies. Elias and Kayla stood together on the observation deck, looking down at the city bathed in light. "The battle is won," Kayla said softly, "but the galaxy will continue to test us." Elias nodded. "Yes, but now they know humans are not to be underestimated. We have shown what courage, intelligence, and adaptability can achieve." The twin suns rose the next morning, reflecting off the towers of Elysium Prime like molten gold. The rogue fleet had vanished, leaving only the knowledge that humans were a force to be reckoned with. The council, once wary, now sought Elias' advice on military strategy, diplomacy, and technological integration. Kayla walked beside him through the palace gardens, her hand in his. "You have changed everything," she said. "Not just here, but across the galaxy. Humans will be remembered for their courage." Elias smiled. "We've only just begun. There will always be threats, always challenges, but we've proven that humans can rise to any occasion." The queen joined them, her expression softening. "You have shown strength, wisdom, and courage," she said to Elias. "You are no longer just a guest here. You are part of this world and perhaps part of our family." Kayla squeezed Elias' hand, her heart full of pride and love. "You are exactly who I knew you were," she said. "Brave, smart, and unstoppable." Elysium Prime had survived, its people safe and inspired. The rogue fleet had retreated, but the lessons remained clear. Courage, creativity, and determination could overcome even the most advanced threats. Humans, once underestimated, had proven themselves extraordinary. As night fell over the city, the palace stood as a beacon of hope and unity. Elias and Kayla looked out over the glowing towers, their hearts filled with anticipation for the future. Together, they had faced danger, conquered fear, and proven that humans could rise to greatness. And in that moment, the princess understood something profound. The galaxy would never see humans the same way again. Courage, ingenuity, and resilience were universal qualities, and with Elias by her side, she knew that anything was possible. The first great threat had been met and overcome. But the stars above promised new challenges, new dangers, and new opportunities. And together, Kayla and Elias were ready to face them all, human and princess united, a symbol of hope for all. The triumph was not just victory over the fleet. It was proof that humanity could shine among the stars. The morning sun rose over Elysium Prime, painting the city in soft gold and silver light. The twin suns reflected off the towers, shimmering like countless stars. Today was not a day for ordinary matters. Today, the city would honor courage, ingenuity, and the extraordinary bond between a princess and a human who had changed the course of history. Princess Kayla stood at the balcony of the royal palace, her gaze sweeping over the assembled crowd below. Citizens, alien dignitaries, and members of the council had gathered in the grand plaza, their eyes filled with curiosity and anticipation. Flags fluttered in the gentle morning breeze, and soft music played from hovering instruments above. Every corner of the city seemed to pulse with energy, waiting for a declaration that would be remembered for generations. Beside Kayla, Commander Elias stood tall, his uniform crisp, his expression calm but confident. Though he had faced danger in the outer sectors and defended the city from a rogue fleet, today was different. This was not a battle of weapons or strategy. It was a moment of recognition, a moment where the galaxy would see humanity through the eyes of those who had once doubted it. The Queen emerged from the palace doors, her regal presence commanding attention. She had watched Elias closely since his arrival, and though she had once been skeptical, she could no longer deny the truth. Humans were extraordinary. Not because of their technology or raw strength, but because of their courage, ingenuity, and the unwavering will to act when others hesitated. The crowd fell silent as the Queen stepped forward, her gaze landing on Elias. She raised her hands, calling for attention. "People of Elysium Prime," she began, her voice carrying across the plaza, "today we honor those who have defended our city, protected our people, and shown us what courage truly means." Whispers rippled through the crowd as her eyes focused on Elias. "This human," she continued, "came to us from a distant world, a species often underestimated, often dismissed as primitive. Yet he has demonstrated brilliance, bravery, and an unwavering commitment to the safety of this city." Kayla's heart swelled with pride as she listened to her mother speak. She stepped forward, her hand brushing against Elias' arm. He looked at her, a silent understanding passing between them. The Queen raised her voice once more. "Commander Elias, you have not only defended Elysium Prime from threats beyond our reach, but you have proven that courage and ingenuity know no species. You have earned the respect of this council, the admiration of our citizens, and a place in the history of our world." The crowd erupted in applause, cheers echoing off the towers and filling the plaza with sound. Elias bowed his head humbly, but Kayla saw the pride in his eyes, the quiet satisfaction of a human who had overcome doubt and danger and shown what his species could achieve. Kayla took a deep breath, stepping closer to the Queen. "Mother," she said, her voice firm and filled with emotion, "there is something I wish to declare, something that cannot wait for ceremony or formality. It is not only about honor or recognition, but about truth." The Queen's eyes softened and she nodded. "Speak, Kayla." Kayla turned to Elias, her hand finding his. "This man," she said, her voice carrying over the plaza, "is not only my partner in courage and my equal in battle, he is the one I trust with my life. And more than that, he is the man I married." A hush fell over the crowd. Aliens and humans alike stared in astonishment. Some faces showed shock, others curiosity, and many smiles of admiration. For a human to be openly recognized as part of the royal family was unprecedented, a challenge to tradition and expectation. Yet in that moment, Kayla's words carried power, truth, and undeniable sincerity. The Queen stepped forward, her expression thoughtful. After a long pause, she spoke, her voice strong but warm. "So be it. The Council recognizes Commander Elias not only for his service to Elysium Prime, but also as a partner to Princess Kayla. Today, we honor humanity, courage, and the extraordinary bond that unites us across worlds." The plaza erupted in cheers once more. Citizens waved banners, some painted with human symbols combined with Elysium Prime's insignia. Children ran through the streets, shouting Elias' name with joy. Aliens who had once doubted him now saw what Kayla had always known. Humans were capable of greatness, and Elias was living proof. Elias turned to Kayla, his eyes shining. "You were right," he said softly. All of this, it's more than I could have imagined. Kayla smiled, squeezing his hand. You earned it, Elias, not just today, not just in battle, but every day you showed courage, wisdom, and kindness. You proved that humans are extraordinary. The council approached to formally acknowledge Elias. Veyron, his multiple eyes reflecting pride and astonishment, extended a ceremonial emblem, a symbol of trust, honor, and acceptance. Wear this as a reminder, he said, that you are not only a defender of this city, but a part of our future. Elias accepted the emblem with humility. I am honored, he said, and I vow to serve this city, its people, and the principles it stands for with all that I have. Kayla watched as the crowd celebrated. She felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that the human who had captured her heart had also captured the respect of a world. Together, they had faced impossible odds, defended a city, and proven that courage and ingenuity were universal qualities. As the day turned to evening, the celebrations continued. Music filled the air, streets glowed with lights, and the palace gardens were open for all to witness the new chapter of Elysium Prime's history. Citizens approached Elias with gratitude, curiosity, and admiration. He greeted them all with humility, answering questions, sharing stories, and inspiring hope. Kayla led him to a quiet terrace overlooking the city. You've changed everything, she said softly, her eyes reflecting the golden lights below. Not just for me, but for everyone here. Humans will no longer be underestimated. Elias took her hand, his expression steady and kind. We did it together, and this is only the beginning. The galaxy is vast, and there will be more challenges, more threats, but now they know what humans can do. Kayla leaned closer. And I will be by your side always. The twin suns of Novara set in the distance, casting long reflections across the towers and canals of the city. For the first time, the palace felt not only like a home, but as a symbol of unity, courage, and trust between worlds. Later that night, the queen joined them on the terrace. Kayla, Elias, she said, her voice calm but proud. You have both shown that the future belongs not to the strongest alone, nor the oldest, but to those who act with courage, wisdom, and heart. Humanity has earned its place among the stars, and with you two, Kayla, Elias, guiding the way, I believe the galaxy will be brighter than ever. Kayla and Elias exchanged a glance, knowing that their journey was far from over. They had faced danger, skepticism, and uncertainty, but they had triumphed. They had shown that courage, ingenuity, and determination could overcome even the most advanced threats, and that humans could rise to greatness among the stars. As the night deepened, the city quieted, the celebrations settling into gentle murmurs. Kayla and Elias stood together, looking out over Elysium Prime, their hearts full of hope and determination. The stars above were vast and mysterious, filled with unknown dangers and opportunities. Yet in that moment, nothing seemed impossible. We've done something extraordinary, Kayla said softly. Elias smiled, squeezing her hand. And we will continue to do so. Together, we are unstoppable. The city below sparkled like a sea of light, and in that light, humans were no longer outsiders. They were allies, protectors, and pioneers. And Elias, a human who had proven the extraordinary potential of his species, stood as a symbol of hope, courage, and unity. The declaration had been made, and with it, a new era had begun. An era in which humans could rise among the stars, alongside other civilizations, not as servants or observers, but as equals. And at the heart of it all stood Princess Kayla and Commander Elias, partners in courage, in love, and in the extraordinary journey of shaping the future. As dawn approached, casting soft golden hues over the city once again, Kayla and Elias stood together, looking toward the stars. The galaxy awaited, full of challenges, mysteries, and adventures yet to come. And for the first time, humans knew their place among the stars, and they would shine. The triumph was complete. Respect had been earned, trust had been built, and humanity, through courage, intelligence, and determination, had claimed its place in the galaxy. And as Kayla whispered, "The man I married," she knew that this was more than words. It was a promise, a bond, and a beacon for the future, a future where anything was possible.